All right, good evening, everyone. I hope our systems are working. I don't know how many people are hearing me right now, but this is the time for us to get started. So, let me welcome everyone to the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy. This is our open house. Tonight is September 14th, 2023. And I certainly hope that everybody who's listening, who wanted to be here, is able to be here. Um, my name is Matthew Brownstein. I'm the school's founder and lead instructor, but I'm not our tech guy, so I had our team get this all set up. And again, I hope everybody who's here tonight is. If you want to use the chat pod, I do see there's some people here in the meeting room. Feel free to ask questions at any point. I'm here with Jenny Warner, our Student Services Director. Thank you for being here, Jenny. But speaking of tech issues, we're having trouble with her mic. So you might only hear from me tonight. Our main admissions director, Leslie Lerman, she wasn't able to be here tonight. And then Todd Grady, one of our admissions representatives, was going to be here, but wasn't able to either. So you didn't get a lot of me tonight. I hope you enjoy that. So basically, again, welcome to the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy Open House. Tonight, again, is September 14th. Our next enrollment is for September 28th. So we always, about 2 weeks before an enrollment date, do an open house to let people know what we're all about. Give you a chance to meet the team, which again is going to be a smaller introduction to the team tonight. We'll go through a PowerPoint presentation, and I'll give you as much time as you like to ask questions and for me to work to answer them for you. So when you look at the slides to get started, our corporate name is Anahat Education Group. That's a symbol on the left. You can see the sacred geometry embedded in there. And then the school itself is the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy. And again, you can see some sacred geometry inside of that. The word Anahat refers to the heart or the heart chakra. It relates to my personal spiritual journey that eventually led to hypnotherapy. So I'll talk about my personal journey, like the history of the school tonight. Not too much, because I'm not really here to talk about myself, but you might want to know who would be training you if you decided to go through this training. And yeah, just what it's all about. We are unique. We're not just like run-of-the-mill hypnotherapy training. Our brand itself is Interpersonal Hypnotherapy. And just a quick overview, and then we'll go a little bit deeper into it. I had a very profound spiritual awakening when I was 19 years old. Everything in one instant became just pure light, pure love, pure joy, pure peace, pure bliss. It was wisdom, it was knowledge, it was goodness. Everything felt so good and so right. I just felt like I had tapped into the essence of the universe, who I really am, the way things are. I wasn't spiritual or religious, certainly wasn't religious, but I wouldn't have even said I was spiritual. I was probably more atheistic or agnostic. But when that experience happened, everything changed. And I just said to myself that night, I have to find a way to tap into this again because it was so good. And I kind of thought it would be there forever, honestly. But the next morning I woke up and that feeling was gone. And I can't say I got depressed, but I kind of went out of my mind, not literally, but to have to figure out what happened to me. So I changed my major in college to religion and philosophy to try to find the answers. And I did start finding answers to what the Enlightenment experience is. And I realized I had inadvertently tapped into that. But then it was like, well, what do I do with that information? I want my life dedicated to a path of healing and enlightenment, but academia in the university setting wasn't it. And psychology wasn't it. Western medicine wasn't it. I was like, what do I do? Who am I going to be when I grow up? I spent years meditating, 5 total years in different ashrams, monasteries. I lived in India, in the Himalayas. And eventually I had learned enough about energy and blockages to our energy flow that I went to Chinese medical college. I went to 2 different Chinese medical schools and was well on my path to be a doctor of Oriental medicine or acupuncture physician, depending what state, what they call that. But I kept feeling like acupuncture can't quite do it, nor does Western psychology, nor does Western medicine. I want to heal and enlighten people. And eventually I stumbled across hypnotherapy and all the light bulbs went off again. I was like, oh, that's it. So while I was in the woods meditating, trying to figure out what to do, um, this kind of inner download, if you will, came to me about this path of anahat. So anahat is the heart chakra. Its symbol is a six-pointed star. You see the ascending and descending triangle. It is based on some of my books, which we'll talk about a little bit tonight. But really, the essence of the work is the heart-centered hypnotherapy. So to me, it's not a religious path here, but it is a deeply spiritual journey. We tone down some of the spirituality in the beginning, but once you get into our clinical and transpersonal training, then we really do start opening the doors to how this is a path of healing and enlightenment, but also a career school that helps to take you through a very high quality, state licensed hypnotherapy education. So when I was meditating those early years, I eventually had the inspiration to open Anahat Meditation Center. Once I eventually, long story short, opened the hypnotherapy school, we changed the name of the corporation to Anahat Education Group. But the sacred geometry and the symbolism is really just meant to show you that there's a lot of depth to the school. It's more than just hypnosis training. It really is a path of self-actualization or life mastery to help you to be successful in every aspect of your life. It is meant to give you a legitimate career in the field of hypnotherapy. And while many students go through for full-time private practice or part-time private practice or as an adjunct to their existing career, a lot of students just end up going through for personal and spiritual growth. So that's the brief introduction. Again, um, at any time, feel free to use the chat pod and ask questions, but I'll start taking us through the PowerPoint and give you the overview. So your host tonight, I'm not sure if Jenny has her mic working yet, but if not, I can cover her part of it. So I'm Matthew Brownstein again. I'm the founder and the CEO of Anahat Education Group. I'm the executive director of the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy and the president of the International Association of Interpersonal Hypnotherapists. I also run a small publishing company called Silent Light Publishers, which has published some of our graduate books, but also publishes my 5 main books that I'll briefly introduce you to tonight. Jenny Warner here is our student services director. She's a graduate of the school. She's been with me for a few years now. She has her master's in business, and actually a lot of our core team actually fortunately have their MBA, which has been great. It's not just the Matthew Brownstein show at all. And if you go to our website and look at our staff and credentials page, you can get a really good sense of the whole team. We have locations in Orlando, Florida, Tampa, Florida, and Miami, Florida. And there's teams of instructors, supervisors, supervisor aides, and examiners. But we also are licensed by the Department of Education to offer the training 100% online. So I am our primary online teacher. So you can do 100% of the training with me. Or if you go to Tampa, Miami, or Orlando, you'll also be training with some of our other instructors there. And I'll show you how that breakdown works, like how much is online, how much is in-house. And then there can be a hybrid of both, depending on what works best for you. Tonight, we'll give you an introduction to the Institute itself, talk to you about the student experience. What is it like to go through the school? We'll take a deeper dive into the student and graduate experience. And again, I usually have other staff members covering each of these points. That's why we have those 2 sections. And then what it takes to get started if you're interested. Again, the next enrollment starts September 28th. You start with a class with your cohort, and you basically begin going through the training online, and eventually, and I'll show you how it works, starting to practice the techniques that you're learning. I've personally been in this field since 1997, but my whole journey into all this stuff actually started in 1992. So I've got about 30 years of experience with meditation, hypnotherapy, Chinese medicine, acupuncture, Reiki, massage, yoga, Tai Chi. I mean, I've really been around the block with all this stuff. And the school has synthesized an enormous amount of information into very powerful modalities that transform people's lives. I still see clients to this day. I backed off for a while as I was running this school, But now that I actually find myself teaching more, which has been wonderful, a lot of our students end up wanting to be my clients. So it's incredibly rewarding to see clients. I would never not want to do it. I just had a client today, this afternoon, had a huge breakthrough. And like I was almost in tears at how beautiful it was to see someone open their heart, stop suppressing their emotional self. And, this person honestly just thought that they could live from their intellect only and had really disowned what we might call the inner child or the emotional part of us. Because of my background in Chinese medicine and philosophy and religion and deep spirituality and living in monasteries and ashrams and in India, um, I really wanted to understand the enlightenment process and how we can heal. So the healing part of it, when it led me to go to different acupuncture colleges, I was trying to figure out, why do we get sick, right? How does psychosomatic illness develop? Like, why does the mind cause illness? And what are the mechanisms for how it does it? But even more importantly, how do we reverse that, right? How can we truly heal ourselves and others? This profession is an actual profession. Not everybody understands that, but the federal government, through the Dictionary of Occupational Titles and the occupational, it's called ONET, Occupational Network, I forget. There's three different places over the years that the US government has acknowledged the CIP code 513603, which means hypnotherapy. So that's the code to be for hypnotherapy/hypnotherapist. This is a federally acknowledged occupation. Now, because of that, schools should be, but aren't always, they should be licensed by their respective state's Department of Education. So in 2007, I opened our school in Florida. Now we're international and I don't live in Florida anymore. But the school originally started in Florida, and we were the first, and actually still are the only, as far as I know, licensed school through the Florida Department of Education to offer career diplomas in this field. So it's important to know that hypnotherapy is a federally acknowledged occupation. You don't have to have prior degrees. You don't have to be a psychologist or a mental health counselor or a social worker or a doctor. In this school, we train you very clearly in what's called scope of practice assessment, so that you know what are your credentials and what can you work on directly, and when do you need to get a medical referral, essentially. But our website covers all 50 state laws, as does our catalog. And if you're interested, you can ask me questions tonight, or you can call the school, and an admissions representative can talk to you about the different laws in the different states. But it's important right up front to know that we are state licensed to offer you career diplomas as a certified hypnotherapist, certified clinical hypnotherapist, and certified transpersonal hypnotherapist. Beyond all of that, our primary title is Interpersonal Hypnotherapy, which is additional training beyond the core 500 hours that we offer. Okay, so with that said, let me share with you my personal mission statement so you can just get a sense of who I am, who we are, what this is all about. My personal mission, which has been with me since I was about 24 years old, now I'm 50, so again, I've been around the block in this field, is to offer the world. So we are international vision. We have graduates all over the world, and our association is the International Association of Interpersonal Hypnotherapists. So you're part of some of our staff is like, you've created a movement. I'm like, I didn't plan on creating a movement. I just wanted to help people to heal and to be happy, and to be enlightened to who they truly are. But it is a global vision. So you're part of, like with us, like a family, a team of people who are out there working to make the world a better place. My dear mentor, Mr. Gil Boyne, who's he's passed away, but he's a giant in the field. He helped us to get the school licensed. So he was really my inspiration for so much of this work in the field of hypnotherapy. And Gil called this a therapy for the people, right? It's not psychotherapy. It's not that you have to be a psychologist. The model is to help the able to become more able, right? We don't deal with severe mental health issues, right? That does require a license. We just help people who generally could be feeling better to be doing a whole lot better. My client today is a high functioning woman who's a successful businesswoman and lovely in every way. But her heart was deeply closed and she was sad, right? There's a part of her crying all the time that doesn't necessarily need diagnosis or medication or even psychology. It needs someone who knows and understands the human heart and how to liberate that from pain and suffering. I have a lot of students who are mental health counselors, psychologists, IDs, social workers, because that training doesn't train you in what we train you in. So I've had lots of clients who are psychotherapists, and I said, "Why do you come to me?" They said, "'Cause, well, we're not trained in what you are." You can get some hypnosis training in a university setting, but usually it's devoid of the spirituality, and it needs to be in a university setting, very much science based. We do have training in our school in neuroscience, in psychoneuroimmunology, medical hypnotherapy. We have a strong research component to what we do now, but nobody has to prove to me that this stuff works. I know it works because, again, I've been doing it for almost 30 years. But now the science is more than good enough to say this stuff works. But you don't have to understand dopamine, serotonin, cortisol. When you're healing the mind, you don't have to think about any of those things. You just help people to return to love. We do it through forgiveness, through compassion, through understanding, through opening the heart, and essentially reprogramming the subconscious mind. So, my mission is to offer the world through loving service the wisdom and truths I've discovered over the years. Because, again, with the background in religion and philosophy, what do you do with that kind of thing? All I know is I want to help people, and hypnotherapy was an amazing way to take who I am and bring it to the world. So for you, I want to help you to be fully who you are and to have an awesome life helping people, and ideally while making some really good money. And we'll talk about that tonight. How much money can you make in this career? So to offer the wisdom and truths I've discovered over the years. Sorry, the punctuation, this is wrong somehow. In a way that relieves the suffering of all beings, and that's based on my Buddhist background. Wouldn't call myself any one thing, but I very much am a Zen Buddhist practitioner, and Buddhism is very much about relieving suffering of all beings and promoting health, wealth, and enlightenment for myself as others. This is a model of oneness. It honors that I am you and you are me. In quantum physics, they talk about quantum entanglement, that one subatomic particle on one side of the universe is connected to a particle on the other side. And you change this one changes. That's the simple version of something that's scientifically proven, that essentially all subatomic particles are interconnected. And I am a Course in Miracles teacher and practitioner, student. And the Course teaches that minds are joined. And what we've discovered over the years in this profession, in the school, we were just talking about it last night in one of our classes, is it only takes one person to heal a relationship. Self-physician, heal thyself. When you heal and you go through the school and you have radical personal transformation, you're healed in so many ways, but others around you are healed. And I really love the work of the Heart Math Institute that talks about when your mind and your heart are in coherence, when you're in a state of wholeness, when you've returned to who you really are as a being of love and light, essentially, your environment changes. Literally, the trees around you vibrate differently. There's like science behind all this now. But a lot of us know it, like we know love is the answer. We know we want to help to heal this very wounded world right now. But how do we become part of the solution? In A Course in Miracles, it says, only the mind needs to be healed. Only the mind is in need of healing. Only the mind can be sick. The body is just following the mind. So what I've discovered is all paths lead back to the mind. You don't have to heal spirit. There's nothing wrong with spirit. And you don't actually have to heal the body, because the body doesn't create its own illness when it comes to psychosomatic illness, right? So in Chinese medicine, we acknowledge the emotions absolutely affect the body. And I learned that in Chinese medical school, but in Chinese medical school, I didn't really learn how to heal the emotions. It was in hypnotherapy that I was like, this is like the answer I've been looking for. In the acupuncture clinic, we would put needles in somebody's shoulder or other parts of their body if they had shoulder pain. But in hypnotherapy, we can regress to the cause of the shoulder pain And if it is psychosomatic, we can heal that part of the mind, and the shoulder instantly gets better and remains better. But in Chinese medicine, even though it goes deeper to the energy level, it doesn't really get to the mental emotional level, which is such a huge part of illness. And Chinese medicine acknowledges that. So I needed to know, how can we heal the root cause of the problem of essentially all suffering? Right. So when the Buddha went to meditate in the woods, he spent like 7 years doing intense spiritual practice. He had one question: why do we suffer, and how do we stop suffering? And he basically realized the mind is the problem. And then he gave a path, one path of many, to help to transform the problem. But the problem essentially is the ego, or the false self, or the part of our mind that feels separate and disconnected from the truth of who we really are. So I can't tell you enough how passionate I've become about this field. I have seen miracle after miracle. I have two we call them clients, but I have medical referrals from their doctors. Two patients with cancer that I'm working with right now. Over the years, I've seen Crohn's disease healed, ulcerative colitis, irritable bowel syndrome healed, endometriosis. I've helped people with multiple sclerosis, asthma, allergies. I have seen the most incredible healing. And I used to give lectures all the time, like almost every week in the height of my private practice, called Healing the Mind, Healing the Body. And people literally would hear the talk and walk out of there without crutches. Literally, because the teaching is, your mind is causing so many of your problems, and your mind can change like that, right? How quickly can we change our mind? So that's, again, part of the overview. Again, in case you just joined in, welcome. We're the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy. You're welcome to use the chat pod at any time if you have any questions. And, oh, great. I'm sorry, I didn't have that up. Let me see. Kim said, so beautiful. Kayla said, agreed, Blaine. Science and spirituality is the key. Nice. Sorry, I didn't see everybody's chat there. And then welcome, Bonnie. I know I've been seeing your name around. Hello, thank you for sharing the meaning of Anahat. Very special information. Thanks, Bunny. Just to clarify, for the orientation class beginning on the 28th, will we receive a Zoom link? Yes, I think Bonnie enrolled for that class. Yeah, our admissions team, the whole team will be sure you're thoroughly ready to enroll. So yeah, this is just an open house to let anybody who's interested in the school know what we're all about. But students who are enrolled for the 28th, and yeah, Jenny already said, yes, Bonnie, we'll get you a Zoom link for the 28th. So no worries, you'll get emails, all you need to be able to sign up. Okay, so now I can see the chat. So feel free to use I guess it's comments, and ask questions at any point. All right, so here's the overview of tonight. We're only going to go for about an hour and 15, so don't worry, won't keep you too long. But let's talk about the history of the school a little bit. So again, in 1992, I had my spiritual awakening when I was 19 years old. I was in University of Florida, so I changed my major to philosophy, but the philosophers didn't really have all the answers I was looking for. In fact, it was just a lot of intellect. Religion gave me a lot of answers, but didn't give the experience. Again, that's when I started learning about mysticism. And you could say a mystic is someone who just wants to experience the divine directly. They want enlightenment. They want the truth. If you use the G word, which I'm sensitive about because not everybody likes the God word, but it's like the soul wanting to know God. It's like you wanting to know the truth of reality, of the universe, whatever you call that, right? And again, it led to a lot of spiritual seeking and living in monasteries and ashrams. Again, background in Chinese medicine, hypnotherapy. I opened my private hypnotherapy training and neurolinguistic programming training. I did a lot of training. I don't go into all the schools because some are closed, some aren't so good. And I just don't really talk about that part of the history, all those details. But my primary mentor and influencer is Mr. Gil Boyne from the American Council of Hypnotist Examiners. So I got to train with Gil directly, attend conferences, go out to lunch with them. He really influenced everything that we do. So that's the primary background of the school for hypnotherapy is Gil Boyne and the ACHE. I opened my private practice in 1997. I was seeing 25 clients per week, more or less, sometimes more, which is which is a bit much. 30 a week is just you can really get burnt out. But after 10 years of running my private practice, I opened the Florida Institute of Hypnotherapy in Gainesville, Florida, 2007, again with Gil Boyne's help. Um, After a few years, I was in meditation, running the school as the Florida Institute of Hypnotherapy. I was in meditation and I said to my higher, wiser mind, what is this all about? What is hypnotherapy? Is it transpersonal? Like, is the essence of the work to transcend the person and to wake up spiritually, to be self realized? And the higher, wiser voice inside said, yes. And it is interpersonal. And that's when the light bulb went off again. I was like, oh, it's not just about my vertical or anybody's vertical connection, the source. Interpersonal is about the horizontal connection between each other. So one of my books is called Interpersonal Hypnotherapy, and the subtitle is honoring the sacred in transformational relationships. So I recommend reading the book, Interpersonal Hypnotherapy, Honoring the Sacred in Transformational Relationships. Once I had that aha moment about interpersonal, I changed the school's name to the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy. And around that time, again, we took the name Anahat, which is the heart chakra, and we changed it to Anahat Education Group because we were actually at the top of a skyscraper at that time, one of the Tampa skyscrapers. And we just really got to a level of professionalism where we weren't a meditation center anymore. It was incredibly cool to run the school from the top of a skyscraper. And it really showed the professionalism and the integrity and the ethics behind what we do, working with the Department of Education. But also, I love like wearing a suit, but also being deeply spiritual. So science, professionalism, spirituality, to me, just a sense of wholeness. So again, the school has been the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy, called that since about 2012 or so. We now have had over 1,000 people go through the school. We are at class number about 58 or something. The class starting in September, I think, is our 58th class. We run currently 4 classes a year. In the new year, we'll run 3 classes a year. Again, I'm your primary instructor for all the online training, all the recordings, tutorials that you watch, and for the online practicum hours. And again, we have a team of other teachers for the practicum hours that happen in Orlando, Tampa, or Miami. I can tell you though, since COVID, the movement has been largely online. I see all of my clients online. I have clients literally all around the country. I was going to say around the world, but mostly clients from Utah, Nevada, California, Connecticut, just all over the country. So the beauty of doing this online is you can work from your own home. You can be your own boss. You can make your own hours. You can be yourself. You can charge what you want to charge. You get to kind of live life on your own terms while helping other people. And if you don't want to have a physical office, you can do it from the comfort of your own home. Okay, but you can have an office, which is a very rewarding experience. Okay, so that's a bit of the history, journey, and personal journey and credentials. I think I covered enough. As far as our team, again, Jenny is here with me tonight, our student services director. The past student services director called herself the Mama Bear, so I kind of put that title there for Jenny. Jenny, is your mic working? Would you like to just say hello at least? If not, she'll just sit there looking nice.
No, I think it's working. Can you hear me?
It's still not working. At least I don't hear you.
You can hear me?
Okay, well, at least thanks for the moral support. So, okay, but yeah, anyway, Jenny is a graduate. She's there to hold your hand, to help you through the training. When students might be getting stressed or overwhelmed, she's there to support you. She's always monitoring your exams, your passcodes to track your attendance. If you're falling behind, she reaches out to you. And I know she usually says during these open houses, she loves getting to get your diplomas to you, how rewarding it is to see your name on a diploma and then to get that to you. So yeah, thank you, Jenny, for being here. Jenny's still down in the Tampa area where oh, you can hear Jenny? Okay. So maybe it is on my side, Jenny. All right, well, go ahead, Jenny. Take a moment, and when you're done talking, raise your hand, and then I will continue, and then I can have Jenny chime back in. So go ahead, Jenny. Say hi. I'll see if it's what I can do on my end.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm glad that somebody can hear me out there, and I'm happy to be here. I can certainly work through the chat too if people have questions. But as Matthew said, I'm a proud graduate of the school. I am here to support you through your journey, and I believe in all of the ethics and professionalism and integrity that Matthew referred to. So I look forward to getting to know you. Anything, Matthew? I think we are having some technical difficulties here.
Okay. Thanks, Jenny. I didn't hear a word of it, but just because whatever's happening, yeah. Thank you. I hope she said good things. When I get to your slides, we can maybe have you talk again. Apologize, everybody, for whatever's going on there. Okay, so our team is more than just Jenny. Again, Leslie and Todd are part of the core team, but again, we have a team of teachers in all of our different locations. Okay, yeah. So the importance of state licensure. Let's take a moment on that. Like I said, a lot of schools, thanks, Kayla, schools operate under the radar. They're not licensed by the Department of Education. There's actually only a handful, really, that I know of that actually are licensed. Why is it so important? We're trying to, like our tagline is raising the standards of hypnotherapy training. Um, when you go and become a doctor, a nurse, a massage therapist, an acupuncturist, a chiropractor, you have to go to a licensed school, right? It's a real legitimate profession, and you have to go to a school that's licensed. Can you imagine becoming a nurse and finding out later you went to an illegitimate school that wasn't actually licensed by the Department of Education? There are people who will say, oh, I'll train you to be a hypnotist or even a hypnotherapist. And there's nobody really governing that, right? If you train someone to be a doctor, you would go to prison, right? If you weren't licensed to train them, if you didn't have the credentials to train them. There are a lot of people training people to be hypnotists or even hypnotherapists who are not actually licensed to do so. So that's illegal. The Department of Education could, and they have, they just don't enforce it well. They could give a cease and desist order at any moment to close an unlicensed school. The paper that your certificate would be printed on isn't really worth anything if there's no government organization backing it up. There are hypnosis associations out there, but most of them do not require state licensure of schools, and they require a very minimum number of hours, like 50 hours, 100 hours, 150 hours. The better ones want like 200 to 300. We offer 500 plus hours of training. If you take everything that we offer, which includes an instructor training path, a conscious community class, my online monastery, which I can introduce you to tonight briefly, which are the Anahat meditation teachings, you could get literally over 1,500 hours of training through us. There's no limit to how much, like this is a lifetime study. There's no limit to how much you can study in this field. So yeah, if you're getting unlicensed training under 200 hours, you're going to learn some stuff. I'm not saying they're bad trainings, but I am saying they're not operating legally, and you're not helping to support a profession that I'm so obviously passionate about. Because I love this profession so much, and because my background was master's degrees in Chinese medical colleges, when I got into this field, I saw how low the standards were. And really, all we've been working to do is continue to raise the standards of this profession. I literally work every day on improving this school because the public deserves that, right? This profession deserves that. So thank you for attending this class, because the importance of state licensure can't be emphasized enough to protect our profession. Okay, so with that said, the IAIH is our association. Like I said, I was part of Gil Boyne's American Council of Hypnotist Examiners, which did require state licensure of schools. But when Gil passed away, I learned a bunch of the schools weren't actually licensed. His standards were only 300 hours at the time. When he passed away, their conferences stopped, the law and legislative work that he was doing stopped. So I decided, it wasn't really a decision, but to stand on the shoulders of a giant and to continue. So we've been doing lots of law and legislative work over the years, since back to like 2012 to protect the profession and to protect graduates for their legal right to practice this profession. We offer annual conferences online or occasionally in person. I think next year will probably be online again. Since COVID, it's been a lot easier and even more pleasant in a lot of ways to do it online. But last year we did it in person. We offer conferences, credentials, certifications, and like legitimate state license diplomas and CEU courses as well through the IAIH. We have attorneys we work with where we monitor and review and work to protect the law in all the different states. If we don't do this, then certain states can stomp out your ability to practice. Colorado, just so you know, in case you're in Colorado, has made it where you really need to be a licensed psychologist to practice hypnotherapy. That's horrible. We help so many people, and we don't need to be a psychologist to do that because we essentially practice non-therapeutic hypnosis. So if we don't maintain these high standards, eventually this might not be a profession. So the IAIH really works to protect the profession, to keep the standards high, and to ensure that any training that we deliver in any of our locations or with any of our teachers must be state licensed. Kayla said, is being acknowledged and licensed by the U.S. Department of Education the same as being an accredited school? No, it is not. We are not allowed to publicly talk about the accreditation process because it's part of what it means to be accredited, to be moving towards accreditation. But I will say, because you asked and I'm transparent, we are in the accreditation process. So we are licensed. The school is not yet accredited. The accreditation process doesn't improve the curriculum or the hypnotherapy training because the accreditation councils know nothing about hypnotherapy. The benefit of accreditation, number one, for the school is you can get federal financial aid. So we don't currently offer federal financial aid, but we do offer student financing. So within 3 years, you can pay off the training with monthly installments, which I can tell you more about. But I would say, and again, this isn't something you're supposed to like broadcast publicly, but again, here amongst ourselves, I will say that probably within 2 years, we will have finished the accreditation process. But I'm telling you, it doesn't improve the hypnotherapy training in any way. It lets us get government funding to let you go through the training. And then, to make sure that every I is dotted, every T is crossed. It's helping us to improve what it means to be a business as a school, but it's not really helping with the hypnotherapy side of it. That's my responsibility. And this past year, I can tell you, I've been redoing all of our schools training videos, all of the program manuals, the practicum exercise guides, and making this as impeccable as possible to bring it to college level. So we're not a college yet, but once accredited, my goal is that, yes, this will be an actual college. But total transparency, we're not quite there yet. So accreditation is a good thing for education, but honest answer to your question, no. Being state licensed, while it's a major step in improving what it means to be a hypnotherapy school, like it's a significant leap forward, it's not quite the accreditation level yet. But again, nothing about the hypnotherapy training changes because of accreditation. Thank you. Good question. Okay, so what is hypnotherapy and what is interpersonal hypnotherapy? So hypnotherapy uses hypnosis. Hypnosis could be defined as a natural yet altered state of mind where we have communication with the subconscious. Thank you, Kayla. So hypnosis is a natural yet altered state of mind where we have communication with the subconscious mind and where we have responsiveness with the subconscious mind. So essentially, when someone's in hypnosis, they're fully conscious, they're fully in control. You don't say things you don't want to say, you don't do things you don't want to do. We generally say you're relaxed, receptive, and responsive. It's not only that, but those 3 R's kind of help. Relaxed, receptive, responsive. It's not always relaxed, but generally it is receptive and responsive. So when someone's in basic hypnosis, we can talk at them. We can program them or reprogram them. We can say things like, you're now losing weight. You're now a non-smoker. You now have higher self-esteem. You now sleep better at night. It's obviously more complex than that, and we work with a lot more than that. But generally, that's the idea of direct suggestions to reprogram the subconscious. That's actually very fundamentals work. Once we start talking hypnotherapy, then we're talking about powerful transformational modalities that help to transform the content in the subconscious mind. So we're not just talking at the subconscious, we're talking with it, helping to really transform root cause. Now, that deals largely with what we call regressive hypnosis, going back to the root cause. So let's talk a little bit about a model of the mind and kind of my journey, what I've concluded. We have symptoms or issues, and our clients will come to us with symptoms, issues, behaviors, challenges, problems. What motivates negative behaviors are our emotions. What causes psychosomatic illness? Our emotions. What causes energy blockages in the energy field? Emotions. So, what's affecting all the emotions or the energy body? The mind. So, we learn that underneath all these symptoms and issues are negative emotions. Underneath those are negative beliefs about ourselves. Thoughts. Beliefs are thoughts. That's the mind. So beliefs would be things like I'm stupid, I'm useless, I'm bad, I'm unlovable, I'm dirty, I'm disgusting, I'm shameful, I should be seen and not heard, I'm useless, I'm incapable, I'm not good enough. Right? We all have these personal lies, these negative thoughts. They cause negative emotions, they mess up our chakras in our energy body, and they cause physical illness, psychosomatic illness, and negative behaviors, which also can contribute to illness. But what's causing all those negative beliefs and emotions? Well, that's where our memories come in because past events create negative beliefs and negative emotions. But what's happening in these memories deep inside the subconscious mind? Most hypnotherapy, like the better trainings, will acknowledge memories, right? They'll help you to process unresolved memories. But what's happening inside of those memories? In interpersonal hypnotherapy, we focus on the relationships. Because if you said, okay, I got a headache, right? I get chronic headaches. Well, if they're psychosomatic, it means they're emotional or stress induced headaches. What's in the stress? Anger, frustration, fear, irritability, grief. What's underneath all those emotions? All those negative beliefs. Where do those come from? Our past memories. But what's inside of those memories? Unforgiven relationships. So when you translate the headache as just an unforgiven relationship, then you can see that the headache is really just a manifestation of unforgiveness, of a relationship that's not yet healed or brought back to love. In A Course in Miracles, miracles are interpersonal. And to get that headache to go away like that and forever, you just have to get to the very root cause. And the root cause is going to almost always be some type of unresolved or unforgiven relationship. Now, that's a mouthful, and it takes well over 500 hours to train you in all of that understanding. But once you get it and it clicks, somewhere around the 400-hour mark in our school, I train you in rapid resolution processes, kind of colloquially called the 10-minute miracle cure, where within 10 minutes, I'm not saying this is how we work with all our clients, but there are procedures that can very rapidly help people to transform because the understanding is there, the techniques are there, and now, yes, there's science there to back all this up. Right? And those of you who have studied some of the neuroscience, like Joe Dispenza's work and Dr. Bruce Lipton, Dr. Candace Pert, they're all confirming what I've been doing for decades now. So the difference in interpersonal hypnotherapy is it honors the sacredness of your relationship with your client, but it also honors the importance of the relationships within their subconscious mind. Again, remembering it only takes one person to heal a relationship. Okay, so why IIH, the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy? Again, state licensure, 500 plus hours of training, and the teacher matters, right? Like if you don't connect with me, if you're like, I don't want to hear this guy talk, I'm not interested, then, not a good fit. But I feel like what I bring to this field is quite unique, and my whole life is literally dedicated to it. I'll tell you just a very quick story. Maybe some of you know the great poet Rumi. His teacher, Shams, was very hard to deal with. He was a tough personality. And Shams was in meditation one night. He was saying to spirit, or whatever you call that, he said, who is like somebody that could handle my teachings? And that higher voice said, well, you need to go find this person called Rumi. He didn't know, but like his inner guidance said, you need to go find Rumi. He can handle your teachings. And that higher voice said, what will you give me in return if I give you Rumi? And Sham said, I'll give you my life. If I could have one dear student to teach what I know to, I will give you my life. I resonate with that so much because I've given my entire life to this. It's like all I do now. I honestly live alone in the mountains in upstate New York. I live in the Adirondacks, and almost all I do, except for meditate and take care of myself, is work on this school because I believe so much in this mission. So why this school? I do have to say, if you resonate with Matthew Brownstein, then that's a big part of it. But state licensure is very important, so you know you have legitimate credentials. We have really, especially this past year, worked to perfect our curriculum, and I've worked at extremely high production value and an exceptionally well-designed curriculum. I work with many different PhDs and master's degree practitioners to make this school what it is. And again, as part of the accreditation process, which again, we're not supposed to like publicly broadcast that, but I'm definitely working to keep raising the standards. So I work with one PhD right now who's like a major part of the team, Dr. Kelsey Evans Amalu, and we meet frequently to be sure that we're functioning at the highest level. But she's not a hypnotherapist, but it's really about working with these other people, not just her, to get the standards really high. So that's basically the overview. So thank you, Lana. Okay, so yeah, I'm not going to do the soapbox about why us, but I hope you've done your research and you've realized there is something very unique here. Okay, styles of delivery, online or in-house. Hold the thought, because I will show you that soon enough. Okay, so I was told not to talk too long about this, and the first thing I'll say on this slide is these numbers are only the potential for income in one scenario, are no way guarantees of what a graduate will make. But I encourage you to do the math. Kayla said, will we receive a state license number when we graduate? No. When you graduate a post-secondary vocational institute, which we are, it's no and yes. So hold on a second. The first answer, though, is no. The diploma is like when you graduate a college. So like my bachelor's is from the University of Florida. That doesn't have a certification number on it because the University of Florida doesn't credential me, really. It doesn't monitor me. It's not a credentialing regulatory body. To get a certification number, you need to join a hypnotherapy association. We founded the IAIH, which does offer you the certification number. So you get state licensed diplomas from this school, 3 of them: certified hypnotherapist, certified clinical hypnotherapist, certified transpersonal hypnotherapist. Those are diplomas just like your degrees that are good for life. They're yours, right? You've earned them, and it doesn't actually mean very much, right? I mean, it means a lot, but it doesn't mean anything as far as having certified credentials to be practicing as a professional. So that requires that someone is a governing credentialing regulatory body. In the field of hypnotherapy, there are many associations, but I talked about them already, right? Low standards, low number of hours, not requiring state licensure. So the IAIH offers you certifications that give you the certification number, and that offers you discounts on continuing education, conferences, insurance. We work with some different companies for malpractice and general liability insurance, and we're always working to improve the IIH to give even more member benefit. So generally in the field of hypnotherapy, your certification number will come from being part of a hypnotherapy association. That's not a legal requirement, but it really is a must. Again, there's no legal reason you must be part of an association, but you do want somebody who has your back and who is the governing regulatory body for you as a practitioner. Kayla, does that answer your question? Okay, I will assume it does. All right, so making a living as a hypnotherapist. Again, this is not a guarantee of income. We tell our graduates, I would just encourage you to do the math here. Think about how much could you charge per hour and how many clients would you want to see per week. So you could charge when you graduate easily $70 per hour. Most sessions are 2 hours, as you'll see here. So if you do 70 per hour, it's 140 per session. But a lot of our graduates who feel confident charge $90 per hour. That's $180 per session. So if you saw 10 clients a week at $180, that's $1,800 a week. But 10 clients is only 20 hours a week. That's a part-time job making. I have a student now I'm coaching, and his goal is 12 clients at $180 per session. And we calculated for him, he will be making over $100,000 working 24 hours a week, right? That's incredible. When I first realized this, when I was in my early 20s, I'm like, this is actually a very lucrative profession where I can be my own boss, make my own hours. We definitely have our higher level graduates. And what does higher level mean? Really people who feel confident, honestly, who maybe have a background in business or marketing. They just feel like they can present themselves, that they deserve 150 per hour. That's just in your mind, right? So we teach you how to get your mind to be ever more prosperous. We have courses on manifesting prosperity and life mastery. So 150 an hour is completely reasonable once you feel confident enough to ask for it. That's $300 a session. I personally, I was actually charging 500 per hour, but that was to keep people away because I was getting too busy. My current hourly rate is 300 per hour, and for students, I offer $200 per hour. So just to give you a feel, I do get $600 for a session. And again, you can't do that right when you graduate. You kind of have to be a leader in the field to charge that much. But think about it, anywhere from $70 to $300 an hour. And again, I've gotten $500 an hour for sessions. People will pay what you ask for. When I started, I asked for $65 an hour. People paid. I raised it to 75 an hour. They paid. I raised it to 90 an hour. They paid. I raised it to 115 an hour, and they paid. So before I opened the school, I was charging $230 a session as a private practitioner who is also teaching yoga and meditation. So do the math. I was seeing 25 full paying clients a week for the majority of my career. So 25 clients times, like, let's say 200 per hour on average, like, do the math. It can be quite lucrative. If you get 200 per session, that's $100 per hour, times 20 clients per week, which we teach you how to do. We can't guarantee you can do it, but we definitely teach you everything you need to know to do it. And we have a best practices business support group run by our Chief Marketing Officer, Corey Benship. Every 2 weeks, I think it is every 2 weeks, he meets with our students and graduates and teaches them the most cutting edge practices to run your business. So we give you everything you need to succeed. Again, it's up to you if you do succeed, but we have a 90+% positive graduate. It's called a placement rate because we check and we have to report that to the Department of Education. And we have a 90+% retention rate. So honestly, we're doing a really good job. And I can't promise you that all of our graduates do this, but a lot do. And there's definitely a lot who have been making over $100,000 per year. So do the math, and then we teach you how to get your mind programmed to help to make this a reality. If you did 5,000 a week times 50 weeks, you can do over $200,000 per year. Again, I'm not saying everybody does that, but if you do the math, you can see if you apply yourself, you can make a really good living helping a lot of people. But don't prioritize the money. Just prioritize helping people. All you have to do is say, I'm going to help to transform 20 people per week, to transform their lives, 20 sessions a week. The money will follow. So don't focus on the money, just focusing on helping people, know what your hourly rate is, and you can do great. In Florida, would I need to be a practitioner of the healing arts, like an LMHC, to practice hypnotherapy on my own as well as certified? No, you do not. But because we start in Florida, I'm very proficient in explaining Florida law. So here's the brief overview. Florida law makes a distinction between therapeutic and non-therapeutic hypnosis. You do not have to be an LMHC or a psychologist or a social worker or doctor or anything to do non-therapeutic hypnosis. Most of what we work on is non-therapeutic. Smoking, weight loss, raising self-esteem, financial prosperity, finding your life's purpose, past life regression, communing with your spirit guides. There's the alien abduction phenomenon. I mean, there's so much that we work with And again, I don't have time to give you the whole list, but most of it is considered non-therapeutic. You do not need to be licensed to do that. If you work on a medical, dental, or mental health condition, you simply get a referral from the appropriate licensed practitioner of the healing arts. So, like my two current cancer clients, I have referrals from their doctor. It's very easy. Most doctors are willing to do it. All you do is say to the patient, again, we call them clients, but they're a patient of a doctor. So all you do is say to the patient, you just need to go to your doctor, get a referral. The doctor writes on a prescription pad or, like an 8.5 by 11 letter, I recommend my client for hypnotherapy. And then no problem. You get that like 95% of the time. The 5% you don't get it is actually when you shouldn't be working on the condition. So I won't go into too much more of the details for the sake of time, but the answer is no, you do not have to be an LMHC to practice hypnotherapy. In all 50 states, sans Colorado. Colorado made it a lot more restrictive. So let me know if you have other questions on that. I was told by our team not to share our website because you can go on your own. This is more about just talking, and using the PowerPoint. But if you go to our website under the IAIH tab, you will find the link for hypnosis laws, and we map publicly on our website all the laws in all 50 states. But be careful, because when you read the law as a non-attorney, you can make the wrong assumptions. I promise you, I really know Florida law well. For hypnosis, Florida hypnosis law absolutely lets you do non-therapeutic hypnosis without a referral and therapeutic hypnosis with a referral. That's a really good thing. I totally support that law. And again, it's not a problem for you to be able to practice. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Deborah. Okay, there's also videos on our website, one 10-minute video of me teaching about the law and an hour video teaching about the law if you want to go really deep into it. And if you ask, I can do screen share and show you. Okay, Lana said, welcome Motivation and Travel Channel. Lana said, can hypnotherapy guide someone to get help who is not recognizing they need help? Well, what's required, and this is a Course in Miracles teaching, what's required is the slightest bit of willingness. They have to be willing to make the phone call, right? If they don't call you, you obviously can't help them. But if they show up in your office or they meet with you on Zoom, because again, most sessions are done on Zoom now. If they meet with you for a session, you can help them. They don't have to even really want to be helped. They don't have to recognize they need help, but they've recognized enough to make the phone call. At that point, it becomes your responsibility. Like, you can help. You have the tools to help. So let's say you go to your car mechanic and you're like, I don't even think there's something wrong with the car. And the car mechanic's like, no, there's something wrong. And you came here. So like, ma'am, don't worry. I can fix your car. As long as you show up to the garage, the mechanic can fix your car, even if you don't know what's wrong with it. My client today, she literally, and we always maintain confidentiality, just so you know, but I'm a teacher and I reference my clients in a confidential way. She's a student in our school, but she still hadn't caught on yet how important getting in touch with your emotions were. So we were doing a technique called parts therapy today, where we talk to different parts of the mind, or they're called sub-personalities, aspects of the psyche. And all of her parts were not wanting to talk to her inner child, her emotional self. They were like blocking and pushing that away. And I was like, okay, what does this part say to the child? And she's like, I don't even want to talk to that part of me. It took me, like, it wasn't her. She didn't recognize how important it was to heal her emotional self, to listen to her emotional self. It was me who helped to guide her there. And it was the most beautiful session. I mean, I was almost in tears because she was getting into her tears when she was realizing, oh my God, I've neglected my inner child for over 40 years. It's like, I laugh, but it's tragic because there's so much suffering. So yeah, great question. They do not have to recognize I don't recognize they need help, because you wouldn't come to me unless you really realize you need some help. But the main thing is, like, do they want to be helped? They only need the slightest bit of willingness, and then we can do the rest. Now, my dear mentor, Mr. Gilboyne, he would say after a few, when you first start practice, you might be able to help 50% of your clients. But after a few years, you'll be able to help like 75%. I forget the numbers he said. But after like 5 years, you'll help like 90%. I've been doing this now for almost 30 years. every one of my clients is helped. I don't have a client who I can't help to make progress, for sure. So a lot of it has to do with your years of experience and your training. But the better you get at this, if somebody comes to you, you can help them. Great. Thank you. Okay, awesome. Will insurance companies cover hypnosis treatment? Generally, no. We are not licensed practitioners of the healing arts. So you need to be licensed usually to get insurance. You also have to be able to diagnose to get insurance. I am fundamentally against that model for our profession. I'm not saying doctors and psychiatrists are going to be diagnosing, but for us, we're not here to be the judge. We're not here to label or pigeonhole people. When people come to me, and they do with cancer and all sorts of other issues, they do pay out of pocket, which is great, by the way. I don't have to wait for the insurance company to pay. People just pay out of pocket. It's better. It really is better. Studies have shown when someone else pays for your therapy, you tend to not heal as well because you have secondary gains or reasons to keep your problem, right? Hey, someone else is paying. I got a therapist who will listen to me. No hurry. But when you have skin in the game, when you're investing, like my clients are paying anywhere from 400 to 600 a session. They are motivated to heal. So, and I don't have to wait for the insurance company to give me that money. So yeah, I really don't want to be part of the diagnosis or insurance industry. There's a lot of issues with, like, huge issues with that. It's also in many ways rather unscientific. There's a documentary that had somebody go undercover to five different psychiatrists, and the person with hidden camera presented the same issue to all five psychiatrists. They gave him five different diagnoses. Each psychiatrist gave a different diagnosis and all prescribed different medications. I don't want to be part of that field. In fact, one of my dear friends and colleagues is a psychiatrist, and I worked out of his office for quite a while. And I watched him work with patients. He had me sit in his office. And at some point, I literally said to him, and he's a friend, so it's like, playful. I said, you suck. I was like, you're just diagnosing and medicating. You're not doing anything. You're not actually helping to transform people's lives. So I'm not bashing the whole profession. I'm just saying for our profession, no diagnosis, no medications, just heal the mind directly and liberate people's hearts and enlighten them to who they truly are, and be grateful you don't have to deal with insurance codes and billing. Okay, thank you. That's my take on it. Not everybody has to agree. And our model in the school is take what you like and leave what you don't. Aurul said, what are other hypnotherapy schools licensed by the DOE, and what makes IH stand out from these schools? I tend to not list, the other competition out there, and I can only think of a few other schools that are licensed, but honestly, I prefer not to be mentioning those names now. But I can tell you what makes us stand out. A huge part of this school is the spirituality, right? A lot of the schools that you might check out, they'll train you in hypnosis, but the spiritual depth is not necessarily there. So that's a huge upselling position in the school, right? It's all about opening the heart, clearing emotional blocks, and then it truly is a path of healing and enlightenment. It's not just a hypnosis school. Also, look at the number of hours. We offer 500 plus hours, so that's a huge difference. Our style of delivery is different. We are licensed by the Department of Education to offer 100% of the training online. That's a big part. I also mentioned before, Matthew Brownstein is a difference. If you feel like I have so many people, honestly, who said, Matthew, you're my mentor, you're my guide, you're the one who's helping to transform my life. We don't always connect with every single, we don't always connect with every single teacher. So, and not everybody connects with me, right? So I'm definitely a differentiator. So is like Jenny and the rest of our team. If you look at our staff page, every one of those people is different from any other school. So the team here is phenomenal. Like, we really have such good people to train with. Again, 500 hours. You have somebody who's dedicated his whole life to this, not just like I was some other profession and then got into this. This has been my only profession. Okay, so I don't want to go into other schools tonight, but definitely I could say the spirituality, the techniques. So, and the number of hours of each technique. The amount of regressive hypnosis training you have in this school is about 200 total hours just for regressive hypnosis alone. So if you go to a training that's like 10 hours of regression training, you can say, oh, I'm trained in regression. But having 1 or 2 days of training in a technique is not the same as months being trained in a technique. So look at the number of hours for sure. If the spirituality means something to you, absolutely. The connection to the team and the style of delivery, whether you want to learn it online or in house. We have taken years to refine um, how long this training is. Like, are we going to try to crank it out in 2 months? Are we going to make it take 2 years? We take about 9 to 10 months to get you through the training. So that's important to look at too. Right? Do you want to try to learn all of this in 2 months, just going day after day after day, like 5 days a week of training? To me, it doesn't give you time to study and assimilate and work with your classmates. We have you do over 150 practicum hours in this school. Most trainings are not even 150 hours. Our training makes sure that you have 150 plus hours of working with other people, predominantly your classmates, under direct supervision. So in this school, we have a 1-to-5 student to teacher ratio, or teacher to student ratio, meaning for every 5 students, there will be 1 qualified instructor or supervisor working with you. So it's not just me and a group of like 25 people. If there's 25 students, it'll be me and 4 other instructors or supervisors to work with you. So just if you're comparing schools, and I think you should, I would say compare those points. And if you find a teacher you resonate with more and a schedule you resonate with more, and it has at least 500 hours of training, I'm not again saying, hey, that might be a better fit for you. But if all those things that I'm saying line up and your heart is like, yeah, then that's the main thing to look for. Okay, great. Thank you. I agree that you don't like those accelerated training courses. Yeah, I do know it's out there, of course. I've been in the field my whole life. And I sincerely, and this is an unsubstantiated claim because I haven't researched everything, single school. I really feel like we absolutely are one of the best schools in the world. But again, you got to do your research and decide for yourself. Deborah said, did you mention that IEH was previously called the Florida Institute of Hypnotherapy? Yes. I'm the founder of the Florida Institute of Hypnotherapy in 2007, but around 2011 or so, I started having some like deeper revelations about what hypnotherapy really is. And then I changed the name to Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy. So yep, we were the Florida Institute of Hypnotherapy when I started. Okay, thanks, Jenny, still for hanging out. There's a point where Jenny will talk again. I won't hear her, but we'll let her do that. So I talked to you about the IAIH. Again, this is our credentialing body for offering certifications, conferences, and CEUs. This maintains the standards for the tests in the school, for the examinations, for the final exam, and for the law and legislative work as well. So you can check that out at interpersonalhypnotherapy.com. I'm the author of 5 books, The Sacred Geometry Meditation and the Anahat Meditation System. Deal with my other website. I think you missed the question, did I? Okay. Sure. Thank you. Will I be hypnotized when I join your school? Oh, yeah. Yeah, more than you can imagine. You will get so used to my voice, it can be hard to stay awake at times. I purposely speak faster and with some more oomph when I'm teaching because you're going to get very conditioned to my hypno voice, and I'll put you into hypnosis really easily. Most of our courses have recordings that you listen to at home while you're going through the training that put you into hypnosis so that you could actually experience the related topic by going into hypnosis, like weight loss, for instance. You will have a hypnotic programming session for weight loss, prosperity consciousness to make more money. You'll go into hypnosis in that way. But that's the recordings. Then during live classes, I frequently, like this, we use a different medium. We use Zoom. This is StreamYard. But in Zoom, I frequently take people on kind of hypnotic meditations. So you will experience it online live with me. Definitely during our practicum hours. That's primarily when I lead the hypnotic meditation. So we have our practicum hours Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I'll show you how that works in a moment. But basically, every morning of the practicum, I guide us, or our instructors in our physical locations will put you into hypnosis and guide you through kind of a morning meditation. And you could ask if you like, what's the difference between hypnosis and meditation? But right here, I'm using the terms synonymously. Also, when you practice on each other, you go into hypnosis. So your classmates will hypnotize you, you will hypnotize your classmates, and you watch, right? So it's like you experience it, you deliver it, and you watch it. But you'll go into hypnosis hundreds of times throughout the training. You actually kind of become like me, a trance junkie. Meaning like you will love the state so much because it's so peaceful and blissful and you tap into wisdom and guidance. I'm in hypnosis every single day. Like today I did two of my own. I listened to my own recordings. So I spent like 50 total minutes today in the hypnotic state. It resets your autonomic nervous system. You program in good stuff, and it's free, right? You can program yourself with the skills anytime you want. Thank you. Do you have any resources for people with bad memory? Yes. See, we're a good school. um, yes, when you get into our student success resources, I have hypnotic programming for accelerated learning, improving memory, study and test performance, discipline and follow through, and improving confidence. See, I remembered all five of those without having to look at notes. So, yes, hypnosis can help to improve your memory. And we have hypnotic programming and subliminal programming for improving your memory to help you as a student. So, like for marketing or studying, we have programming that helps you to succeed in those areas. So, yes, absolutely. Also, quote, bad memory. Your subconscious mind is the seat of your emotions, your creativity, your imagination, but also your memory. So when people tend to close their hearts, their proverbial hearts, when they close down emotions, they tend to also close down their memory banks. And if you think of your subconscious like your hard drive, if you pack it with a lot of unresolved stuff, you don't have extra memory space. But when you go through this training, you will, and we encourage you to get private sessions, but also in the training itself, you will be clearing a lot of your own issues, a lot of your own blocks. That will free up a lot of space in your subconscious hard drives. But yes, the answer is absolutely. We can make that better in so many ways. And there are free resources, for the students in the learning management system that absolutely help with that. Great. All right. Thank you. So yeah, I mentioned my book, Interpersonal Hypnotherapy. On the healing side of it and enlightenment side, my book, The Sutras on Healing and Enlightenment, I literally wrote that in the Himalayas in India in a deep meditative state. And my other book, Peace Under All Circumstances, that's available for free as an audiobook on YouTube if you like to dive into that. I mean, who wouldn't want to have peace under all circumstances? So I highly recommend my books, but I won't plug them too much. There are free resources on YouTube. And this is one of my recordings called Hypnosis for Integrating the Psyche into Wholeness. But you can just go to YouTube, type in Matthew Brownstein. You'll get tons of free resources. I do a podcast called the Illuminated Mind Podcast. You see a lot of interviews with really cool people. And we have a conscious community class archive with literally hundreds of hours of free classes. So if you explore our website or YouTube, you will see I don't want to say infinite because that's an exaggeration, but an abundance of free resources available. Okay, also you can check out onlinemonastery.com. That's why I offer the Anahat meditation system. It's an additional 100 hours of training to be a certified meditation teacher through this unique system. It's totally free. It's priceless, so I give it away for free. It came to me in my own set of kind of revelations. It's a very unique meditation system. It's not for everybody. We don't push it on you in the school, but I do want you to know it exists for those who want to take a very deep dive into meditation and sacred geometry. Okay. Um, Jenny, would you like to? I'm not going to get to hear you, but I don't think, but would you like to talk about the student experience?
Sure. And
I'll try to
if
get my
you
mic
all,
to work. I don't know my speakers. So yeah, go ahead. Just I'll see when you're
okay,
done.
okay. And if you all can't hear me, please put a note in the chat. But thank you all for being here, and I'm happy that you can hear me at least. And Matthew's covered an awful lot of the material, so I'm conscious about the time here. But let me just tell you a little bit about the student experience from my perspective. So I am the student services director, and I'm also a graduate of the school, and I also have my own part-time practice. So I know what it's like to go through the school. I know what it's like to with the curriculum and the demands on time and all of that. And so having that perspective is really useful when students call me because I can help out and I'm here to support you through your journey. So as I mentioned before, I was drawn to the school because of the professionalism, the focus on integrity and ethics and all of that. And I believe in the education and the experience. So happy to be part of the school. There, there are three programs, as Matthew mentioned, the 300-hour section, which is called hypnotherapist, and after that, after that section, you'd be eligible to take your exam, your hypnotherapist exam, and receive your diploma. And then on top of that, we have the two other programs, clinical hypnotherapist, learning, understanding how to use hypnosis in medical settings, and then a transpersonal hypnotherapist, which talks about the theories of reincarnation and karma, um, allows you to learn about accessing the hypnotic state for past life memories, and really brings in that spiritual component to the work. And so that's the 500-hour opportunities that you have with us. So within each one of those programs, each one of those three programs that I mentioned, you have online tutorials, you have live practice, and you have live classes. The online tutorials are designed so that you can watch them at your convenience. If you need to watch them in the evenings, or if you need to watch them on the weekends, you are welcome to do that. Some people like to do a little bit every day. Some people tend to binge watch them on weekends, but they're there for you to do it so that it fits into your life. The practical weekends, or practicum weekends, as Matthew mentioned, are weekends where you come together either online or in person at our locations, and you have a chance to practice with each other. You have a chance to learn. You have a chance to take everything that you've learned from that 100 hours and apply it and absorb it and experience it. So they're really amazing weekends, and those would be for each 100-hour section. And we also do 5 live classes per 100 hours. And so those are on Zoom. Those are a chance for you to meet your fellow classmates, for you to ask the instructors questions, and again, just to really reinforce the learning and the things that you're absorbing through the course. And we have some short quizzes following each lesson, which really just demonstrates understanding of each of those, and a written exam per each 100-hour section. And then finally, you have the oral exam at the end of the 300 hours. And as I said, I am here to support you through the whole experience. People call me sometimes asking about questions, how to find different parts of the curriculum. Well, sometimes people call me because they're feeling stressed about not having enough time. Some graduates call up and ask questions about where to find things. So I'm here to support you through the whole experience, from the initial point all the way through graduation. And one of the important points that I would like to make is that we offer the training free to graduates. And I think that's really, really important because it's so valuable. So I have a number of graduates who are going through the training again, because once we've graduated and you've put the skills into practice, and then you come back and look at it again, you learn a completely new layer of things on top of that. And so that makes us very unique, and I wanted to highlight that. So I believe that I'm going to give the thumbs up here to Matthew.
Thanks, Jenny. I can't figure out how to hear you at all, so I'll take it over from here with the next slide, and yeah, I can just do that, and then I answer the questions. I'm not sure if Jenny answered those questions, but let me do it now. So yeah, thank you. I don't know what's going on. So Lana said, what is the deadline to sign up for upcoming classes? The 28th is the official start of class. If for some reason you can't do it right by the 28th of this month, we could have extended enrollment until about October the 5th or so. And then you could just watch the recording of the live class. The first class on the 28th, it'll be recorded to catch up. But you're better off signing up by the 28th if you want to get started with your cohort for sure. Kayla said, I only want to learn hypnotherapy and transpersonal, but not clinical. Is that possible? Yes, I don't recommend it because you don't know what you don't know. Clinical is more than you would think. And if you like transpersonal, you will like clinical. Clinical goes into the metaphysics of healing. We do breath work during clinical that can offer major spiritual experiences. Breath work can lead you into past lives. You wouldn't want to not have that modality. In clinical, we do what I call the 10-minute miracle cure or rapid resolution processes. You just don't know what you don't know yet. So I wouldn't make the choice to not do it. If it's a money issue, talk to us about it. We have ways to make it affordable, but you don't want to not do it because you're like, I'm not into medical stuff, because you just don't know what it's about yet. So if you like transpersonal, you like hypnotherapy, you will want to do clinical. But theoretically, our catalog does say clinical is not a requirement, but I would reserve, you don't have to pay for it or commit to it up front. Go through the first 300 hours. Once you get closer to clinical and you learn what it's about, and I have videos that explain as you go, like, okay, here's how far you've been, this is what you learned and why you learned it, now you can see it all, and this is where it's going. Once you get a sense of that, we don't have any students who skip clinical, but theoretically, yes, our catalog says you could do that. Okay. Benit, I hope I said that correctly, says, how long are the live practice each day? So where is it? Here you can see that we have 100-hour sections, which Jenny probably explained to you. Every 100 hours, which takes about 7 weeks to go through, you will have your practicum weekends. We call them practicals, but properly it's practicum hours. Those are 3 10-hour days. When we do the online groups, they will go from 9:30 in the morning, because online lets us do it around the country. So we have people starting literally at 6:30 in the morning in California. So that'll start 9:30 Eastern time in the morning. It goes for 10 hours up to about 7 or 7:30. We can get out a little bit early if we cover all the material, but we are obligated to give you 30 hours. Out of every 100 is for practicum. So the live practice. So what we do about every week, you would meet with me online, and that's 2 hours, but that's largely preparing you for the practicum hours. So every week you have 2 hours with a live instructor, which right now is me, which I'm enjoying, and students I think are. So that's been really good. It's in my curriculum I've designed, so you're better off learning it right from the source. I had other teachers doing it for years, but now that I'm back in the loop, things honestly I think are better in a lot of ways. Not that our other teachers haven't been great. So yes, you'll train with me during the week. You'll train with me during the recorded videos, and then online, 3 10-hour days from 9:30 to about 7 or 7:30. For the locations, Tampa, Orlando, Miami, you would start at 8:30 in the morning and go to 6:30 at night. So 10-hour days, again, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And that happens every 100 hours, which is approximately every 7 weeks. Takes, again, about 9 months to get through all 500 hours. Okay. Kim said, did I hear this correctly? Did you say graduates can take the classes again at no charge? I don't think you heard me say it, but it's true. So I'll say it now. Yes, our policy has always been that as a graduate in good standing, you can repeat the entire training at no charge. You have lifetime access to the learning management system online, which is the whole library of all of our training videos. And you're going to want to go back and repeat them. It's so much information. You can't even imagine like how much it is. I just finished redoing our clinical training manual. That alone is 230 pages. If you take all of our training manuals, it's well over 600 pages of material, plus 500 hours of training. So you probably will at some point want to go back and repeat it. You will learn it at a whole nother level when you do. And that's an additional 500 hours. You can count that towards instructor training with us. So you could actually become a supervisor aide, then a supervisor, which is a paid position, and then an instructor, which is an even more paid position. You could also become an examiner for helping students with exams. So, or a conference presenter. We have lots of ways to help you to grow with us. And repeating the training is one of the good first steps to move into higher levels if you want to grow with the school. But for your own sake, yes, you could absolutely repeat at any time. For the in-house locations, we just need to be sure we have a class in the location you're choosing, and that we have enough space. But online, you could always repeat anytime you want to, because there's plenty of space online. So yes, it's a huge benefit of going through the school. You can get an additional 500 plus hours of training at no charge. Awesome. What is the interest rate on the student financing? Currently, it's 13.99% because the company we use, they take a pretty hefty percentage of that to monitor the loan and do collections and all that. Um, so it's 13.99%. You might want to, if you consider doing that, you have to just have a 600 plus credit score, and show that you have some income. And generally, we're quite flexible. Its payments are right around 300 per month or so. But once you like, if that's how you want to get started, some students end up, once they like have enough credit card space, they might just pay it off on their credit card if you can get a lower interest rate. But credit cards right now are like 20% interest rate. So 13.99 is pretty good. If you can get a personal loan for like under 10%, then I would recommend going that way. But if you can afford it, then most students just pay every 100 hours. But if you can't do that, yes, you could finance it at about $300 per month, approximately. That goes for 36 months at 13.99% interest. But again, a bunch of those financing people, once they can score a loan that has a lower interest rate, they just pay the whole thing off, and there's no penalty for prepayment. Okay, great. Yeah, you could always call the school and they could talk to you all the details. It's an 800 number. They'll be happy to talk to you the details about that. All right, let's start to wrap it up. Just a couple little things. So student support, which Jenny would talk about if I could hear her. So Jenny's, again, our student services person. There's a phone number. You can call her pretty much any time if you have questions. There's, of course, email. And on the website, you can contact student services directly. It seems like I'm paying $10,000, but I'm getting way more than that with the value and benefits. Thank you for, I don't know your name, but thank you for acknowledging that. Yes, the total tuition is, and really, really good schools in this, and there's only a handful, like three, besides us that I can think of. You're going to be paying 10,000 plus for a training. We're just under 10,000, but the personal and spiritual growth to me is well worth that much money. But if you think of the return on investment, if I'm not saying you will, but if you start doing $100,000 per year and you do that for 10 years, that's $1 million for a $10,000 investment. There's nothing more lucrative than an education. Well, that might not be true, but an education in a career is one of the most lucrative things you could do. So yeah, for some people, that's a lot of money, but yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I'm probably not the right person to say it because I'm obviously biased, but I absolutely feel that what you're getting for what you're paying, the amount, what we deliver is definitely worth the money, in my opinion, but it's the return on the investment that really matters. Not just the money, but the helping people. Like when I see 5 clients a day, there's times when I've been on my knees at the end of the day, just like, thank you so much. I can't believe this is what I do for a living. It's phenomenal. Okay. Success rate for graduates. So as a state licensed school, we have to check 6 months afterwards, how are you guys doing? Department of Education makes us check, are you full-time, part-time, or an adjunct to an existing profession, or are you still employed and like transitioning in? The other option is, no, I'm not employed and I'm not using it at all. So we do exact Department of Education standards to answer your question here. It is always, and we have this posted public facing on our website, it's always over 90% positive graduate outcome with this school. It's called a placement rate. It doesn't monitor how much money you make. The Department of Education right now doesn't care about that. So we don't check for that. So I can't tell you how many graduates do over 100,000 per year. But if you ever want to talk to some who do, call the school and we can definitely have you talk to the graduates who are doing 6 figures for sure. So yeah, we don't measure it by money, but we measure it basically by, you could say, like, did you reach your goal? We have a student attestation you sign when you come into the school. And then we're checking 6 months later. And again, yeah, that's 90+% positive graduate outcome. If one is unable to sign up for this cohort, when will the next one begin? February. I don't know the exact date. We usually have a January start, but next year we're only going to do 3 start dates, and that'll be like February, somewhere around June, and then September. So next year would be February. Great. All right. Thanks. Yeah, keep your questions going. I'll start wrapping it up, but still here for questions. Jenny talked about that. Student progress progress closely tracked and monitored with regular progress reports. So you could always see in our learning management system where you're at for your attendance and your grades, but we do give you progress reports every 100 hours. There's phone, email, and text support from student services, which is largely Jenny, but again, there's other team members to help you if you need it, and staff who understand the journey, because again, most of our staff are graduates. Todd, who answers our phone now, be gentle with him, he's new. Monica was with me for 10 years, but recently retired. So we hired Todd. He's a full-time admissions specialist. I worked for other colleges in the past. So he's kind of new at talking the hypnotherapy talk, but he's such a beautiful, great guy. So I'm happy he's on the team. But yeah, if Todd can't answer your hypnotherapy questions, you could always book a private Zoom meeting with me, and Todd has access to my calendar to do that. So if you ever feel like Todd doesn't know quite enough about the field, yep, I'll meet with you quickly, within a day or two, and can answer all your questions. Okay, or other staff could as well. All right, so yeah, Jenny talked about 60% of the training is done online at your own pace. 40%, so 10% of that is also done online. So you got about 70% is online videos and live interactivity with an instructor. 30 hours, which is part of that 40%. I know it's a little confusing there, but 30 hours every 100 hours are your practicum guide. You practice on each other in small groups under direct supervision. So yeah, how graduates are using the training, mostly private practice, but also we have graduates who have worked with psychiatrists, doctors, and dentists who refer to them. We have graduates who've worked actually with the Department of Health. But honestly, to keep it simple, most graduates just have their own private practice. Like I said, you could do it on Zoom 100%. I do. I work from home. It's awesome. It's great. You can be in your pajamas and see clients. It's really such a pleasure to get to work from home. But I've had my own office throughout the years. I guess I still have an office in Tampa, Florida. I just never use it. But it's great to see clients in person. So generally consider that it's going to be private practice. You'll be your own boss. You'll make your own hours. We offer lifetime access to material after graduation, like we said, support with continuing education, and ample opportunity for mentoring and business development support. So again, every 100 hours is a section of training. You log your passcodes so we can track your attendance. You attend live classes. It says every other week, but we added more classes. So now it's 5 classes every 100 hours, which is almost every week. You interact with me to ask your questions and for me to prepare you for the practicals weekends. Once you finish the first 300 hours, you are eligible to take the final exam, but most students take the final exam at the transpersonal weekend because it takes time to prepare, to study, and to get ready for that. But if you have any questions on that, let us know. Just know there are exams throughout the program to be sure you really comprehend, and that helps us to track your attendance as well. And there is a final exam. Most people take it right before they graduate. Will this training equip me to do group hypnosis and pre-recorded sessions? Yes, totally. I have definitely courses in group hypnosis, group regression, group lectures. So yes on that one for sure. And then there is a whole course on how to make hypnotic programming recordings, how to use the software, and then you could technically publish those on YouTube and monetize it. I don't really talk to you about how to make a fortune on YouTube, but I would definitely teach you how to make extremely high quality hypnosis recordings / meditations. You can make subliminal recordings in that, binaural beats, isochronic tones, solfeggio tones. So I talked to you about all of that and the equipment, how to have a good mic. And yeah, absolutely. So radiant answer, yes, on that one, Kayla. All right, so yeah, getting started, next steps. There are no prior degrees or training required. Like I said, you don't have to be an LMHC or psychologist or social worker. Anybody can do this, but you always have to operate within the scope of your training. You can't work on things that you're not legally allowed to work on. However, if you get a referral, then you can work on medical, dental, and mental health conditions. Are practicals every weekend? No, not at all. So let me go back here. Every 7 weeks are the practicals. So you'll do 7 weeks of online training, meaning you're watching a lot of videos, and they're good quality now. I've redone all of them recently. They you'll know because my hair is a lot shorter. So if you see any videos of me with shaved head, you will know they're the most cutting edge, and they're all actually redone in the past year. So you're watching a lot of videos on your own, almost every week, you're doing a live class with me to answer your questions and prepare you. And then after 7 weeks of that training, you would do your practicum weekend, which is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Again, it can be done totally online, and I'm the lead instructor for online, or we have the Tampa, Orlando, or Miami locations, but I'm not sure we'll honestly fill all those locations to do them, but we're definitely doing the September class online. So every 7 weeks, you would meet for your practicum hours. You need time to prepare and study before you practice. I've had some students say, why can't we practice right away? I'm like, because you don't know what you're doing right away. So you get 7 weeks of learning, then you practice. We have a graduate who did become a licensed mental health counselor, and he said, Matthew, this system was so much better than my training to become a counselor. He said, in college, we might study books for a whole semester, never practice. He's like, the way you set it up is brilliant with the way we practice as we move along. But no, it's every 7 weeks before you do your practicum hours. Awesome. Okay. And then in conclusion, when you enroll, there's a pre-enrollment interview over the phone, but I also just recently made it available, and I want to talk to the people who enroll. So Todd is encouraged. You don't have to, but Todd's encouraged to have you talk to me before we officially sign you on, so we can really be sure it's the right fit. We only want harmonious, loving and harmonious people in our classrooms. Reluctant learners and difficult students can ruin the experience for everybody. So I really want to get to know you and to keep it like warm and personal, and be sure you feel like it's a really good fit for you. So, we don't just let anybody with a check in the door. We really want harmonious classroom settings. You would sign an enrollment agreement, which binds you and us to the catalog, which is licensed by the Department of Education. So it really protects you. There's a refund policy. There's a train out agreement. If the school ever took your money and ran, or I died or something, you get your money back. The Department of Education has a student protection fee, another reason to attend state licensed schools. Training is $19.50 per training hour. If you go to our website, we now have all the tuition broken down, so I won't take our time to go into it. But if you ask, I can certainly tell you the details, but you can do the math. But check out the website. To reserve your seat, it's $300 deposit. That gives you access to the first 20 hours. So if you do that and you watch the first 20 hours and you're like, nah, not for me, then $200 of that is refundable. So the most you're risking is $100 to put down the deposit. See if you like the training. If you don't, again, $100 is non-refundable, but you can get $200 back. Those first 20 hours do count towards the whole training. So there's minimal risk to try us out with the deposit and access to the first 20 hours. Last question, you said, do you guys discuss politics in class? No. A lot of colleges do, for example, woke ideology, or is it geared more towards hypnotherapy? I never talk politics in school. Believe me, I have my thoughts about what's going on right now. I laugh because, there's, I think, a lot of insanity going on. But no, it's not our place in the school to talk politics. And there's a general etiquette and netiquette that we ask in the school. That no, students don't, we don't. We're all about healing. We're all about love. We're all about enlightenment. We're about hypnotherapy. It is deeply spiritual. And some students have felt that I'm maybe a little too religious, but I'm like, I'm not religious, but I do use the word God. But what I mean by God is peace, love, joy, bliss, oneness, a direct experience of peace and love and joy. That's what I teach. I don't teach politics. The word woke, I don't know. I'm not going to go into it because we don't go into it. But I'm a teacher of love. I'm a teacher of A Course in Miracles. And I don't need to talk politics to help you to feel more love in your heart. Okay, great. Good, thanks. If you want, share your first name, Motivation and Travel Channel. So thanks. I'm glad you resonate with that. Yeah, no politics. Financing options are available. You need 600 plus credit score. And then we ask for 600 down because we take a very big risk of offering you the financing, because if you default on the loan, you got the training, it really can hurt us. So we want to be sure you have at least a 600 credit score, you do have an income, and you pay a little bit more upfront to finance. So $600 and then $300 per month if you choose to finance. Okay, now's the time to reserve your seat because the class starts on the 28th. You can call admissions at 800-551-9247. Here's a free resource. I think I don't know. I can't talk to Jenny now, and I can't copy. Um, I don't know how we can get them this link right now. Feel free to ask if you call the school. We can get you free access to my Peace Under All Circumstances audio package and ebook, but I don't know if you can click on it right from here. I guess you could do a screenshot. Yeah, capture the screen if you like, and you can type in that link. There's a free coupon code there, and then you can get access to my Peace Under All Circumstances meditations, and I think it's an audio book actually. Okay, great. So yeah, that is a free resource. I just apologize. I don't think you can click on that link. Okay, so yeah, thank you. Call the admissions department. Here are license numbers, the school's website, and the 800 number. Thank you, Kim. Super excited to have you start as well. Awesome. Thank you, Jerry, for giving me your name. Good. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your questions. I hope I kind of sense your passion for this. So I appreciate that. I hope you sense my passion. Thank you, Jenny. I'm sorry I couldn't hear you. But yeah, I would love to see you guys on the 28th. And if not the 28th, yeah, we should be here for quite a while if you can start then. All right. Thank you. Any last questions before I close down the meeting room? Awesome.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
Lena, Deborah, Kim, everybody else who is interacting. Thanks so much. Thank you, Jenny, again. Okay, good. I'll close the meeting room. I can meet with any prospective student anytime, almost any time. So if you call the school and you want to talk to me, I will be happy to answer your questions personally. Again, Todd is new, so be gentle with him. And then, yeah, I'll be happy to talk to you as well. Okay, thank you so much, Jerry. All right, good night, everyone. I hope to talk to you soon. Be well.
Good night, everybody.